สวัสดีค่ะ
Good morning, all investor. You are with PTG again. We are very grateful to see you again this quarter. So today you are with me, Vipada Chayapon, Investor Relation Section Manager, and Miss Sirikun Viriya Panyachaykun, Assistant Vice President to Account and Finance Department. Okay, let me start with the agenda of today. So first of all, highlight of this quarter, what happened to PTG that which is like interesting, and second is industry outlook, and the third is business overview, and lastly the financial performance, which Miss Sirikun will cover this part. Okay, for the highlight of this quarter, firstly the oil sale volume growth quite very like significantly compared to last quarter, which is like only flat. In the third quarter, the sale volume grow 9.1% year over year and 2.2% Q over Q. The marketing margin of this quarter is quite stable, so at the level of 1.92 baht. Third, the LPG sale volume recover. Last quarter, the sale volume of LPG of PTG dropped because the travel in the city and the lockdown. So when after the ease of the lockdown measure, after the outbreak of COVID-19, the LPG back to grow at 22.7% year on year, and also other non-oil sale also recover. So next is the industry outlook. I will start with the movement of oil price. The WTI oil price moved quite very stable in this quarter at the range of 36.8 to 43.4 dollar per barrel this quarter, and the exchange rate also moved in quite very limited range at 31.1 to 32 baht per dollar. So it make the movement of, compared to first Q and second Q, the movement of the oil price is quite very stable. For the movement of diesel oil retail price, the movement of oil diesel retail price is in the range similar to the WTI price, which is quite very small movement of the increase of 6 times and the decrease of 5 times, making the marketing margin quite very stable in this quarter. Next is the consumption of oil in Thailand. The overall consumption returned to grow at 4.7% year over year, and compared to last quarter is quite very significant growth, because last quarter the consumption dropped sharply due to the lockdown measure of to prevent the COVID-19 spread in the country. So the retail oil consumption move in the same direction because people travel more in the country. So the demand get back to normal. And also there are like many government campaign to like improve the consumption of oil, such as like เราเที่ยวด้วยกัน Next is the consumption of the LPG. The overall consumption of LPG still dropped 10.5% year over year due to the decrease of LPG auto consumption. Normally the LPG auto consumption drops around 10 to like 13% every year as the oil price lower. The people switch from using LPG to oil, so it dropped every year. But this year the drop is more because there are less traveler in the country. In the past there are like tourists from other countries, so they use like taxi that use LPG. So in this quarter and in this year the effect of COVID-19 making the tourist in the country lower, so the LPG consumption dropped more, but compared to last quarter, the LPG grew to 31.1% Q over Q because the easing of the lockdown measure in the country. For LPG household consumption, the LPG consumption normally increase near the GDP of the country, but this year as the GDP slow down because of the COVID-19, so the consumption of LPG household decreased 4.8% year over year. Okay, next is the business overview of PTG. For the oil sale volume of PTG, wait for a moment. The slides not move. Okay. The oil consumption of PTG. Back to the last slide, you see the oil consumption of PTG by channel. The oil consumption of PTG still increased 9.1% year over year. Compared to last quarter, that the growth is around like 0%, quite flat. We still outperform our growth still outperform the industry. Normally, the oil consumption drop Q over Q because of the seasonal effect in the third quarter. But in this quarter, the sale volume grow Q over Q because of as I mentioned, that the last quarter was affected by the COVID-19 outbreak. Our main focus still be in retail, that our retail sale accounted for 96% of PTG total sales. Okay, if you look into the by-product sales, you see that our main product still be diesel. We sell diesel total 70% of our total sale in this quarter, because our main customers still be like commercial truck, the people that use the car for like living. So actually it's similar to the consumption of Thailand, that the diesel consumption accounted for around like 65 to 68% of the total consumption of the country. And for the momentum of the Q4, we still see the growth in oil consumption, but during October there is like a seasonal effect that the rain come quite very late this year, so the sale volume growth quite limited during October, but we still expect that in fourth quarter the sale volume will go about 8 to 12%, making total year expectation of the growth around 6 to 10% of total sales. In terms of market share, PTG is still growing market share every year. In this quarter, we have the market share of total oil of 13.9% of total consumption of oil, and we target to increase our market share every year, and we expect to reach 14% market share this year. In terms of retail, which is our main focus, we gain about 1% growth in terms of market share every year. So this year we now reach 16.6% market share in third Q, and we expect that this year our market share will be around 7%. Sorry. Next is our auto LPG sale volume. The LPG sale volume, as I mentioned, that is returned to increase year on year 20.6% and increase from last quarter of 46.4% year over year, mainly because of we still expand our LPG outlet, and the same-store sale quite very flat this quarter from the decrease of about 20% same-store sale last quarter. We're gaining more market share also. We now have the market share of, we are number 4 in terms of market share of LPG auto with the market share of 12.4%. In terms of the number of stations, we still expand our outlet. However, this year we expand quite very less number of stations this year because of the effect of COVID-19. So now we have 2,078 number of stations, which is we expect to reach around 2,100 something of total number of stations. With our main focus still be cocoa. We now have cocoa of 1,597 stations and 280 Dodo oil stations, and when we have a LPG mix of 122 and standalone of 79 stations. Our main focus still be in the mixed station because we can provide LPG and oil at the same station. For the distributions of the station of PTG around the region, you see that our main station still be in northeast and northern part of Thailand, but our main focus now is the Bangkok and VC area. That you can see that this from last year we expand around 30 stations compared to other region that we expand quite very small number. And our other main focus is our non-coverage area that we try to expand to cover all the area. For non-oil touch point, you see that we still expanding our non-oil. This year we have 11 Mac Camp, the rest area that we provide for the people who travel. And this year we still recently we cover like most of the region, but we still plan to expand our rest area to provide service to people to cover all the area. And next is Coffee World. This year we have planned to relocate the Coffee World, but the effect of COVID-19 making the department store and airport closed during the lockdown. So we closed some branches that not perform. We closed the Cocoa branch, 19 Cocoa branch to relocate and rebranding Coffee World. For MaxMart, we're still expanding and we now have 212 MaxMart. For Pantai, which is quite have a limited effect from COVID-19, and we expect that the business will making profit next year. So we still expand Pantai, and we now have 273 location of Pantai, and we have a Magneton Loop chain of 47 location. And this year we just acquire more share from Autobac, and we plan to expand more. And now we have 16 location of MaxMart. And as you know that this year we enter the household gas business, and we expanding it in the Bangkok and Rizhi area, and we have 99 gas shop. And we also have the auto maintenance for big truck, 9 location. Next is the recovery of the non-oil. As you can see that during the COVID-19, the our CVS and F&B business were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and they started to recover during the third quarter for Maxmart, and in September the growth reached 8% year on year now. For Pantai, it only affect during the April and go back to normal and started to go back to normal as the location of Pantai is located in the PT station. For Coffee World, the sale quite well affected by severely affected by the effect of COVID-19 because the location is in the prime area and there is no like tourist, like for example the airport, so the growth is still dropped. Another reason is that we closed, as I mentioned, that we closed 18 cocoa branches. So in the third quarter, actually the sales started to recover, but in terms of total sales is dropped because we closed some branches, and the same store sale of Coffee World now like recover to around 60 to 70% of the same store sale before the COVID-19. Next is the update of Palm Complex that we hold the stake of 40% in this project. In the second quarter, the share profit from Palm Complex is quite very small because of the effect that the demand of oil in the country dropped very sharply. But after the easing of lockdown, the demand that you see before that the oil demand for in the country started to grow, so the demand of B100 which is the main product of this complex started to increase. So we now have in the third quarter we have the share profit of this project of 9 million baht, and total 9 months we have share profit of 190 million baht, and we expect that this project will contribute around 240 to 260 million baht this year, and we still maintain our target. This is the updated picture of the Palm Complex. And next is the Autobac. As I told you before that we buy additional share from Siam Autobac. Before we hold the share of 38.26%, and we buy more of 38.26%, making total share now 76.52% of Siam Autobac. Before we decided to buy more share, we see opportunity that this business can grow. So that we buy the additional share from Siam Autobac, which is the #1 brand in Japan, and with our aim to serve more service to our customer, and we have like PT McGuard network, so we think that we can expand and making more revenue from this project. We expect that in 2025 we will have the revenue of 4,000 million baht, and we plan that we will filing to list that in like 5 to 7 years. For this year target, we still maintain the expansion of oil and gas station of 50 to 100 stations, and non-oil we already reached 700 locations, and the oil growth we expect that this year the growth of oil will be 6 to 10% year over year, and as the LPG return to increase in the third quarter, we still expect that the LPG growth will be around 15 to 20% year over year. And we have adjusted our EBITDA target from 6 to 10% to 10 to 15% as the marketing margin is stable, our oil sale volume still grow, and we effectively control our cost. For the target of the capital expenditure this year, we retarget to from 3,500 million baht to 3,000 million baht as our main focus, as we more selective of the expansion of oil and gas, and our main focus is the renovation of the same station to make the same store sale grow, and we still maintain the investment in non-oil business of 300 million baht and new business of 200 million baht. Then next is the financial performance. Ms. Sivikun will tell you about how PTG doing this quarter.
Yes, let's be talking about the financial performance of Q3 2020. Start with the revenue. The revenue from sale and service was 25,000 million baht, increased almost 13% Q-on-Q because of the increasing in sale volume, but decreased almost 11% year-on-year due to the decrease in oil selling price. For the 9 months 2020 compared with 9 months 2019, the revenue has decreased almost 13% because of the decline in oil selling price. For the sale volume, it has increased 4% Q-on-Q and 10% year-on-year respectively. The revenue in Q3 dropped year-on-year mainly from oil business due to the fall in oil selling price of almost 19%. Although sale volume grew 9% year-on-year. On the other hand, non-oil revenue increased almost 8% year-on-year as LPG business, food and beverage business, and convenience store business recover. The revenue from oil business account for 95% and for non-oil business account for 5%. Please have a look for the gross profit. The gross profits of Q3, please see in the last slide. Gross profit, about the slide of gross profit. The gross profit of Q3 is 2,720 million baht, which decreased 0.9% Q-on-Q, but increased 16% year-on-year. The gross profit margin is almost 11% as Q3 and 12% for the last quarter and 8% for Q3 2019. However, in this quarter, the world oil price were stable and the adjustment of retail oil price were in line with cost. Therefore, the marketing margin was at the appropriate level. As a result, PTG post gross profits of 2,720 million baht, which increased of almost 16% year-on-year, but dropped off 0.9% Q-on-Q. The gross profit proportion from oil and non-oil business was 88% and 12% respectively. For the proportion of non-oil gross profit can break down into almost 5% for LPG business, from food and beverage business, and almost 5% from Macmart convenience store. And please move to the next slide for EBITDA. In this quarter, the expense grew in the decreasing rate due to the cost control policy and the strict investment policy. Therefore, PTG had EBITDA of 1,654 million baht, an increase of 44% year-on-year and increase of 0.4% Q-on-Q. The net profit was 513 million baht, grew by 98% year-on-year and 0% Q-on-Q, which are taking into the accounting result from TFRS 16. The company would have had recorded net profit of 580 million baht, which increased almost 13% year-on-year. However, PTG will continue to increase its revenue and profit channel by expanding the service, both oil and non-oil business, and effectively utilize the existing assets. Please move to the next slide for TFRS 16 impact. In order to comply with financial accounting standard TFRS 16 that we have adopted in first quarter, we recognize all lists that are formerly off balance sheet transactions and recorded them as right of use and lease liability in balance sheets. This has an impact on depreciation and interest expense in profits and loss instead of operating expense. So the impact of applying TFRS 16 is that the net income would decrease by 68 million baht. For the next slide is talking about the financial position. As of September 2020, PTG had the total assets of 40,618 million baht, with increase of almost 18,000 million baht, or up almost 74% from the year end to 2019. The main is from the right of use assets of almost 24,000 million baht and the investment in a joint venture of 875 million baht, increase of 187 million baht, which increased 27% from last year because of the profits from the palm complex, and the main assets that decreased were cash and short term. For the liability, PTG had total liability of 32,000 million baht, which increased of almost 18,000 million baht, or more than 100% from the year end 2019. The main increase was due to the liability under financial lease, increased by 18,000 million baht, or more than 100% from the adjustment of financial report in accordance with accounting standard TFRS 16, which we have mentioned it above. Please go to the next slide for the balance sheet impact of TFRS 16. The new accounting treatment will lead to a new item in the balance sheet, which you can see right of use in the balance sheet almost of 24,000 million baht and no have prepaid this whole life. For the next slide is talking about the profitability ratio, which you can see that the return on equity increased year on year because of the higher net profit compared to the last year, but declined Q on Q due to the growth in equity as the retained earning increased, and the return on assets was only 6.6% due to the addition assets, the right of use assets of almost 24,000 million baht. However, PTG had been strengthening the non-oil business to stabilize the profitability. For the leverage ratio, the interest-bearing debt increased to 3.84 times because of the recorded of lease liability from the lease agreement. PTG had adjusted the debt covenant condition to exclude the lease liability from TFRS 16 with financial institutions and debenture holders. And for the next slide is talking about the cash cycle. For this quarter, PTG have negative operating cash cycle of about 6 days because of the payment cycle of trade and other payable has longer than last quarter. And please have a look for the cash flow slide. For the 9 months of 2020, PTG had net cash from operating activity of 1,517 million baht, net of the deduction of interest and tax expense of 383 million baht, which dropped off 25% from last year. The main is come from the decrease of payment of trade payable from the lower oil cost, the payment of leasehold right and the prepaid land lease from the adjustment of accounting standard. PTG had net cash from investing activity of 1,525 million baht, which dropped off 52% from the previous year. This was due to a decrease in cash payment for leasehold right and prepaid land lease by 1,178 million baht from the last year from the adjustment of accounting standard number 16 and decrease in cash payment to purchase land, building and equipment by 511 million baht from the previous year. In accordance with investment control policy and the control of selecting service station in potential areas and in non-covered area. In addition, the net cash from financing activity was negative 475 million baht, with decrease of more than 100% due to the repayment schedule of short-term and long-term loans from financial institutions. And PTG still aim to maintain sufficient cash flow for its operation and investment. Therefore, net cash and cash equivalent decreased by 483 million baht, resulting in the net cash of 554 million baht at the end of the first 9 months. Thank you for listening.
Okay, next we will go to the Q&A section. We now have the Q&A from here. It's the first one is, in your view, LPG consumption will back to normal within 2021? Normally, the consumption of like LPG auto drop around 10 to 12 to 13% every year. But this year, the drop is like more severe of like 30% year over year due to the effect of COVID-19, as I mentioned. We expect that if the situation go back to normal, the LPG auto consumption still drop like around like 10 to 20%. But now enter LPG's household that normally they grow like 1 to 2% every year, and it's having the big portion of LPG consumption in the country, and we expect to grow in this sector instead. And we expect that this year our sale volume from LPG will be from LPG's household around like 10%. Okay, another question is like, how does U.S. election impact the oil price? As many of you may know that Joe Biden actually like support the clean energy, like other energy apart from petrol, apart from combustion. So we expect that if the policy be this way, so the demand of oil, which is like actually US is one of the biggest demand for oil, will decrease in the future, and the oil price will be like maybe more stable if the consumption decrease. The next is, what is PTG investment plan, which will be completely and generate revenue to the company? Okay, our focus is now on like the non-oil, because it's like our oil business is quite kind of the cash cow business now, and we now focus more of non-oil business with making a higher gross profit, and will stabilize our net profit because the oil business quite very sensitive to the marketing margin. Refer to non-oil business, how you maintain your target customer during the pandemic, and how about the marketing cost. During the COVID-19, we do many things. One thing is that we try to control our expense. For example, for the employee, we try to cut all the unnecessary expense. We talk with our customer we don't cut their salary, we don't lay off, but we try to manage the expense of and another thing is the expansion plan. At the beginning of the year, we plan to expand the service station around 150 to 200 station, and we slow down our expansion, which make the expense grow slower. And for our customer, we also do many campaign that help with our customer. So we will be the first in mind that they think of after the COVID-19 have gone. So for example, we have the Tu Pan Suk, which is sharing cabinet for someone that in need. The free COVID sanitizer for car user and taxi driver. We give away the food box for taxi driver, which, as you know, that the LPG consumption dropped very sharply during the COVID-19, so that less people use taxi as there are less tourists from other country and the lockdown measures. So we give away lunch food for taxi driver who fill up at our gas station. And we also open new channel to boost our non-oil sales. For example, Coffee World and Pan Thai, we open online channel. You can order Pan Thai and Coffee World online, and we have coupon that you can buy at many platform. Next is how about payback period of auto bag. Actually, the additional share that we buy from auto bag, the investment is not very high because that we talk with the existing shareholder. So we expect that in less than 2 years, the payback period of the additional payment will be so around 1 to 2 years for payback period of auto bag. And next is may I ask about sustainability plan in long term? What are the management view? So our sustainability plan is in terms of business, we expand more in non-oil part. We wanted to make people happy. It's our goal that, so we try to be the service provider in every part of people life, which is our main goal for business. And in terms of environment and social, we have many development and many projects support the social and environment. How about the dividend policy? Will keep DPS at least similar as last year?
For the question about the dividend policy for the PTG group, the dividend payout with whether a business is able to pay dividends depend on various factors including financial liquidity, borrowing capacity, limitations in the loans agreement, which we put emphasis on the shareholder. And for the question about the
will it be dividend per share will be like similar to last year?
Yes, the dividend per share is the same as last year.
Our payout ratio is 30% of net profit of PTG, and normally we pay more. And as Miss Sirikun said, that it depends on many factors. How the COVID-19 pressure on PTG liquidation? Okay, I'm not sure I think this mean the liquidation of like cash. So how the COVID-19 affect PTG cash flow?
Actually, we have plan to manage cash effectively by have control of investment policy.
As you know that PTG is like cash business. We receive we have negative cash flow, so this is one thing that we not affect much by the effect of COVID-19. And as Ms. Sirikun mentioned, that we try to maintain our cost that not grow so fast. So we cut all the unnecessary expense, and we control our investment plan. We, as I mentioned, that at the beginning of the year, we plan to expand like 150 to 200 stations, and we cut the investment plan.
Yes, we have planned enough fund for the uncertain situation and manage cash sufficient for investment and operating expense by managed expense by considering reduce investment from 5,000 million to 2,000 million.
Okay, and in terms of the customer, as we cut our like unnecessary cost, but we still wanted to maintain our customer. So we do many activity that keep our customer during the COVID-19 outbreak. For example, like as I mentioned about the free sanitizer for car and like taxi. Okay, I think we have only we answer all the question now. Okay, so if there is a more question that you wanted to ask, you can send us an email at ir@pt.co.th, and you can add our line to get updated for if we have any announcement or any new update, we will put in this channel, so you can follow us on Line application. And thank you so much to keeping in touch and interesting in PTG. So see you next time. I'll hope to see you next time. Goodbye. Thank you so much for today. ขอบคุณค่ะ